To me, a secret is actually something you don't tell anybody. Having a secret doesn't make me feel lonely. It makes me feel at least a little in control of the situation. When I release it to the ether and to my friends, then there's the expectation of disappointment possibly for them. The pressure was very, very big. I didn't really think that it would be such big news. But then when we came home that night, we saw all the newspapers, front and center, back, everything. It was just amazing. And that's kind of when I knew my life would change. I went to Syracuse University to study journalism. It was at Syracuse that I took my running out to the cross-country course where the men were training because there were no women's teams. And so I went and asked the track coach if I could run on the men's cross-country team. And he said, no, you can't do it officially because it's against NCAA rules, but we would welcome you to train with the team. The guys were wonderful, very welcoming me, especially one little assistant coach who actually was the university mailman. His name was Arnie Briggs, and he had run 15 Boston marathons. I was so slow that Arnie ran with me every day and brought me along with these wonderful stories of the Boston Marathon. Until one night, a snowy, blizzardy night in Syracuse, we were running 10 miles, and I told him I wanted to run the Boston Marathon. He said, no, a woman can't do it because women are too weak and too fragile. And I got angry. We argued. And finally he said, look, if any woman could do it, you could do it, but you'd have to show me first in practice. I was sure I could do Boston. That wasn't the issue. I didn't want to make a fuss of it and feel pressure for them in case something happened and I couldn't do it. So I didn't tell anybody, even my parents, until the night before. When you share a very dark or intimate or aspirational secret with somebody, it can change the relationship entirely, of course, because either that person trusts you with the secret and maybe even advises you and is there to console or confide or comfort you, or they blab it around and betray you. Arnie and I were so close. You know, he wasn't like a substitute boyfriend. He wasn't a father figure. He was like my best friend. He wasn't going to tell anybody because he knew I didn't want the additional pressure. And so we didn't even need to talk about it to each other. It's like we were mind readers. When I proved to him in practice that I could do it, he came over to my dorm with the application and the rule book because I said, Arnie, you know, I don't know why I have to enter this race. Why can't I just go and run? And he said, you can't do that. This is the Boston Marathon. It's a serious race. You got to fill out your entry form. So I signed the entry form, fill out the entry form, signed it, Kathrine Switzer, from all my days of wanting to be a sports writer, paid my $2 entry fee, got my medical certificate. Arnie got the travel permit, and then the entry form went in. Here is the growth of the secret is that unbeknownst to me, you know, signing KV Switzer meant that the officials thought that KV was a guy, and they gave me a bib number. It wasn't done to defraud them because, you know, I knew I could do the distance, and Arnie said there's nothing in the rule book, and there was nothing on the entry form against gender, you know, about gender. So I said, I'm going to be noticed at Boston. And he said, I know. He said, and I'm proud of you. I told Arnie not to tell anybody, okay, but I had told Tom, my boyfriend, at a bar, 3 weeks before. And then Tommy Leonard, a guy on this cross-country team, had decided he would run as well. So he knew I was going to run. He didn't tell anybody. But then my boyfriend blabbed it to the track coach. And the track coach bet him a bottle of whiskey that I couldn't finish the race. And I was really, really annoyed with him. And I felt that was a breach of the trust that we had. The night before the race, when I was packing my stuff, my roommates wanted to know what was going on. I said, okay, listen, I got to hold you guys to secrecy, but I'm going up to Boston to run the Boston Marathon. Well, they didn't have any idea what the Boston Marathon was, so it wasn't a big deal. They weren't going to tell anybody because it didn't mean anything to them. And then when I got to Boston, I thought, well, I'd really better tell my parents in case there is any kind of news. And in case anything happens to me, they should know I'm here. So I called them from the motel and said that I was going to run. It was about 10 o'clock at night. And my dad was wonderful. I often thank my parents for giving me the ability to take big risks and to have big dreams and to have a good opinion of myself. But that came with a net of security that many people don't have. He had no idea what the Boston Marathon was either. I said, well, it's 26 miles, 385 yards. And he said, well, kid, you can do it. I swore one professor to secrecy, and I said, you can let everybody know at noon tomorrow, because he was very excited. And as he started his class at noon, he went like this. And today, high noon, in Hopkinton, Kathrine Switzer, your classmate, is beginning the Boston Marathon. And the sports editor of the DO was in the class, and he said, what? And he said, she didn't tell me, because I was writing for the DO at the time. So that was it. Those are the only people who knew. It was snowing and sleeting on the morning of the Boston Marathon. And Arnie went in and picked up our team packet, came out with the envelope of all the numbers, so we didn't have to go in individually. And I had on my baggy gray sweatsuit that I was going to throw away. And the weather was so bad, I had to keep it on. Everybody was clamoring for any kind of hat or gloves or anything they could get. It was so miserable. And at the starting line, the officials pushed me into the starting pen, like with all of the guys, obviously thought that I was a guy. It wasn't then until the official attacked me at the 2-mile mark, which was out of the blue, just completely blindsided me, that everything changed. Jock Semple, the co-race director of the Boston Marathon, jumped off the press bus and grabbed me and screamed at me, get the hell out of my race and give me those numbers, and tried to rip my bib numbers off. I was terrified. I was utterly terrified. I just was left breathless. Little Arnie, my coach, was screaming, leave her alone, she's okay, I've trained her. And my boyfriend came running full tilt and hit the official, threw him out of the race. So I went then from being almost an anonymous person, just running with my friends, gonna finish the first race and then call my mom and dad, said, hey, I did it, to this happening in front of the press truck. And the world media is on this truck, and all I could hear when he was attacking me were motor drives and cameras clicking. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is gonna be all over the newspapers. Then the pressure was very, very big. I had to finish the race. And I said to Arnie, I'm going to have to finish this race on my hands and my knees if I have to. I have to finish the race. If I don't finish the race, nobody's going to believe women can do this. People are going to think I'm a clown, and that guy, Jock Semple, is going to win. And I said, he's wrong. I've got to finish the race. The rest is history. My gosh, it was all over the papers. By that time, everybody knew about it. Everybody knew about it. when you tell the secrets of your soul to a friend or a lover or a husband, it's no longer really a secret unless you completely trust that person. And that's okay. If you completely trust them, it's somewhat a secret, but it's no longer just yours. And that sometimes is very relieving. You can tell somebody if you want to get something off your chest. But if it's something that you just hope and dream for, sometimes it's better to keep it yourself. Having said that, I have been telling everybody that I plan on running the Boston Marathon in 2017. I'm going to be 70. It's going to be the 50th anniversary of that first run. I had high expectations of running it pretty well. Now I've got a sore Achilles. Will I run it? I don't know. I may have to lumber through it, but I'm certainly going to be at the start line in Boston in 2017. So I'm throwing that out to the universe, which is probably the first time I've ever announced something that I wasn't sure about.